Alright, it's the end of the spring season, and I've decided to jump on the bandwagon and review all the anime that I've been watching. I'm just gonna go through each one at a time and just make up shit as I go. So this could either go really good or more than likely really bad. I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers as much as I can, but I'm not gonna make any guarantees. In fact, I might just go ahead and put a spoiler tag alert thing just so if I do end up doing it, I can just put that so it's pretty obvious. My Japanese is still pretty shit, so I'm just going to use the English titles for all of these. Anyway, let's get started. One Piece. Does this count as a current season? I mean, this thing's been going for like half my life, and I don't even know if that's an exaggeration. But I mean, I watched it this season, so I want to fucking count it for this season, I guess. The current arc has been, we'll say, good so far. The Wano has been like hinted at for so long. I don't even remember like when it was first mentioned. So it's had time to kind of like build up the hype. And I'm pretty excited about the fights that are going to be coming soon. But well, my complaints for this season are pretty much just the complaints that I have for One Piece in general. The 8 minutes of nothing at the beginning that's just recapping what I just fucking watched last week. There are times where it's just they have a scene that just sticks and like they're just trying to fill time. I don't know. I At this point it's just kind of one of those like I still enjoy watching it, but I don't know whether that's like Stockholm syndrome or what it is. And in fact, it kind of brings up another thing that I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk about. So I'm just going to put it in here. Like I read I'm completely caught up on the manga and the anime. And I'm more excited about reading the manga. So whenever I watch the anime, I already know everything that's going to be happening and all of that, but it's not exciting to watch, I guess. And I don't think it's a because I know what's going to happen. I think it's more of just an issue with One Piece in general. Because I have another show that I'll probably end up talking about later. As a matter of fact, I will be talking about later. That I have the same thing where I've read the manga and I know what's going to be happening, but I'm still excited to watch it. But with One Piece in particular, I don't like. I still watch it and I still find it enjoyable enough, but I'm just not as excited to watch it every week. I don't know. I think maybe I haven't thought about it enough, but maybe someone can put in the comments if they have a similar experience. Maybe I can figure out what the fuck it is. Komi can't communicate. Season 2. I've been enjoying this show so far. The premise of not being able to communicate very well is something a lot of fucking weebs can get behind, me included. The comedy has been pretty good, if not repetitive in some cases. And that may just kind of happen as the show goes on. The consequence of having each character basically be one stereotype. But we'll see. I have a feeling that if this show continues, it may be something that I get bored with, but I don't know. For now, I like it. It started to kind of bring in the romantic side of it, but I got a feeling that this show is one of those that they're gonna be holding hands by season 10. So I'm not gonna expect a whole lot in that department from this show. Should I be giving scores? I don't know. Sure, we'll start giving scores. 7 out of 10 for this one. Aharen is indecipherable. Jesus, is that the English name? I've literally never looked at it before. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. All right, we'll go ahead and get my controversial statements out here now. I thought this show was mid, to say it best. Like there were good parts. I don't want to say that it was like a bad show or anything. Like there were like legitimate funny parts, and I actually really liked the ending. That kind of boosted the rating that I gave it up by probably a lot. But overall, me watching it, I don't know, the sticks jokes didn't land for me, and at points I just kind of questioned on like why I was even watching it anymore. So it's never a good sign when the your comedy anime is not funny. Now, I'm kind of wondering, like maybe it could be that this is like overexposure because the premise of this show basically the girl can't talk and she gets help from her classmate, which is already pretty much covered with Komi-san. So I'm wondering if maybe the shows weren't going on in the same season that I might like the show a little better. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I think even if they weren't at the same time, I still wouldn't have great opinions of the show, but maybe they would be a little better. So my score for this, I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10. Now I know that's pretty high considering I didn't really overall like the show, but like I said, the comedy is there in some spots, but not in all. And if that was just what I was going off of, it would probably be lower. But the ending I really like. Anyway, my overall opinion, just go watch Komi-san. Honestly, I think it's a better show. Shikimori's not just a cutie. All right, look, let me go and admit that I have not actually finished this show yet. As of me making this, there's still one more episode that hasn't come out, but I'm pretty sure my opinion is not going to change on this in the last episode, so I'm just going to go ahead and give my opinion now. I did not like the show at all. I don't know. I was just bored watching this whole show. Like, to me, it kind of came off like they blew their load in the first episode and they just didn't know what to do with the rest, and they just repeated it for the rest of the show. Like, Izumi is a jinx and always gets hurt, so Shikimori saves him, and that basically just described the entire show, all fucking 12 episodes. And I'm not really into rom-coms in general. I know my previous shows so far have kind of went against that, but generally, I'm not a huge fan of them. It's kind of changed over the past year or two. But in a lot of other shows, what tends to happen is they take forever to actually build up to the main people getting into the relationship. But this show starts off in a relationship and then goes nowhere. So it starts nowhere and goes nowhere. And what's bad is I actually like the side characters in this. Like if the show had cut out the main couple and just focused on the side characters, I may have actually liked the show more. But there's just so much focus on two boring characters. And I hate saying that because I don't think Shikimori is boring on her own, but I think Izumi just brings her down. So if I had to give it a score, ugh, off the top of my head, I would go with 4 out of 10. And I think that may be high. I cannot describe how absolutely bored I was with watching this show. Ugh. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Season 3. Now, I just said I'm really not into romance or any of that, and I'm going to have to immediately take it back for this show. This was the show that got me into rom-coms. Like the reason why I watched so many of them this season. I remember when the first season came out, I watched it and then binge read the entire manga. This was actually the show that I had in mind earlier because I can know everything that's going to happen. I already know what's going to end up happening next season too, and yet I still really, really enjoy watching the show. Like the comedy is amazing, the mixing of the comedy and the romance, and there's a whole lot that I want to say, but I think I'm going to end up making a separate video on this topic specifically. So I kind of want to not say too much right now. So instead of that, I'm just going to skip it and I'm going to give my rating of a very, very biased 10 out of 10. We'll leave it at that. Love After World Domination. After watching this show, I probably had a lot of the same thoughts as my parents watching the original Power Rangers with me when I was a kid. It's cheesy and dumb, but just like kid me watching the original Power Rangers, adult me really enjoyed the show. And I'm not even sure why I liked this show to begin with. I remember reading the description and thinking it was just ridiculous. And then I watched a couple episodes and it was ridiculous. Like the two sides were battling. Meanwhile, the citizens are out here sitting, shoving popcorn in their face like they got front row tickets to a wrestling match. I have expected one of them to throw a chair in at some point and a referee walk out from behind a bush. I think I was just in the mood for something dumb, and the show really hit the nail on the head. And another example that I can think of, but it's not anime related, is the movie Hot Rod. Now, when I first watched it, I already knew going in that it was going to be dumb humor. So I was prepared for it, and I really enjoyed the movie. I was in the mood for watching something dumb, and that delivered. Now, my friend watched it, and he didn't know what it was, and he was not in the mood for dumb humor. So he absolutely hated that movie. And I think that this show kind of has a lot of the same thing. If you go into it expecting dumb humor and are wanting dumb humor, you will absolutely love this show. But if you were not in the mood for that kind of thing, you will probably hate this show. So keep that in mind. Unfortunately, this seems like one of those shows that I think a lot of people are going to miss on, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Spy Family, or Spy X Family, or Spy Times Family, or honestly, it doesn't matter. Use whatever you want. I kind of came to the conclusion that I liked Hunter x Hunter over Hunter x Hunter, so I'm just kind of using the same concept with this. I really don't think it matters unless you are talking to someone who really, really cares about this, and then the only correct answer is the opposite of whatever they think. What do I think about the show? This man threw a grenade, used the grenade pin to propose while the grenade was going off in the background, and that wasn't even the best part of the show. It wasn't even close. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of this show. Which isn't surprising. Like everyone and their mom's talking about this show. My mom knows nothing about anime, and I could probably call her up right now, and she could tell me the best things that she thought about the show. They managed to combine comedy, action, and a wholesome family all together perfectly. So it's not really all that surprising that this is one of the biggest shows this season. And there's nothing really that I can say that's going to be different than what's already been said. So I'll just go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Ascendance of a Bookworm, Season 3. The show's probably going to be a little difficult for me to talk about. The most accurate thing I could probably say is that it has been consistently good. Like nothing over the top amazing. It's not gonna blow your socks off watching this show. But at the same time, like from the first episode to the last episode, the quality has been pretty much the same. So if you watch the first episode and you really enjoyed it, you're probably going to like the rest of the show. If you watch the first couple episodes and you did not like it, then you probably just go ahead and drop it because it's not going to be because you're just not going to like it. But I do like this show, and I think this last season has been even like a little bit better than the other ones. I think they've done a better job of dealing with the suspense and like building it up and carrying on the story. The way the last season just ended, my guess is that they're either going to have a time skip or they may just go ahead and end the show there. I hope they don't. I hope they continue it, but we'll see. Anyway, I will give this 7 out of 10. So pretty decent. Check it out. Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. What the fuck happened to this show? I realize it's been a few years since the first season came out, but I could have sworn I actually liked it. After watching this season, I'm not so sure. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch the first one just to see if I actually liked it or if I'm just misremembering something. I saw a quote somewhere, and unfortunately, I don't remember where I saw it at, but it said, I've never seen a show feel so slow and rushed at the same time, which pretty much describes the pacing of this season perfectly. It just seemed like they wanted to rush to get to the next point as fast as they could, but at the same time, they wanted you to walk to get there. I don't know, the pacing of this is just so hard to watch. And it's got me. I know they've already announced the next season, and it's got me questioning on whether I even want to watch it. Because if this is kind of the same level of what I want to expect in the next season, then there's really no point. I will say that the second half was slightly better than the first half, but I'm not anywhere near enough to make up for how bad the first half was. And the second half really wasn't even that much better. It still had the same problem of pacing. To me, this kind of comes off as a training arc, but they didn't want to write any actual training, so they just wrote some bullshit in for them to get stronger, and it just doesn't work well. And I've already heard that the author isn't a huge fan of what they wrote in the light novel. It's a good thing the anime decided to fucking fix it. This is the one time when both the anime watchers and the manga readers would have agreed on them doing something different, and they didn't. Just thinking about the show's bugging me. 4 out of 10. We can move on. Your boy Kongming. There's no way I said that right. And I'm not sure why the name's different in Japanese. Whatever. So I don't normally watch music-based shows. I don't have anything against them, but it's just not something I'm super interested in, so I don't tend to seek them out. I just happen to be in the mood to want to watch something with music, so this was my pick. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. I liked this show a lot more than what I thought I was going to. The premise was interesting to say the least. So I was kind of expecting to kind of be on the fence after the end of this, but I really enjoyed it. I probably could have done with a little more music actually, which is surprising for me. And I really like the singer's voice. I ended up actually trying to look up more music by her just to see if I could find anything, and ended up just watching her try to sing and play Apex at the same time, which was pretty interesting. Anyway, the show is really good. This may actually be the show that gets me into watching more music-based anime. I don't know, we'll see. But I'll give this an 8 out of 10. This is really good. So that's all the anime that I watched this season. A lot more good ones than I expected. I kind of have a bad habit of starting a show and then watching it, even if I don't like it. So I'm glad that I at least like most of the ones that I picked. Anyway, let me know if you agree or disagree with my shit taste. See ya. I just noticed my camera doesn't do well with movement. I wonder how much I've moved during this video. Me losing sunlight is definitely not helping. Oh well.